Hello and welcome to MetaChemistry. Today we have a very special project. This is our first actual video content that we're creating for YouTube, so that's very exciting. And we're going to begin with an unboxing of the newly released NextWave. So first off, a big thank you to Corvus Belli for sending us a review copy so that we can check it out and show you all at home what the NextWave bundle includes. And I'm joined with Ian today.
Hello.
And so we're just gonna dive right in by talking about the bundle itself. So you start off by getting the action pack, which has 10 miniatures in it. And if you get that and the Juggernaut tag, then you'll also get a copy of the special edition Glyph War Core, which is the Combined Army War Core. With that, let's just dive right in, I think.
Yep.
So let's scoot these guys out of the way for now, and we're going to start off with the action pack. And so we've got 10 miniatures here. We have 3 Harbingers, which are going to be the line troops. There we are. Then we have a Contrabandolero, which is their skirmisher. A couple light infantry, but they're actually like warbands in the Rain Dancers. We have another light infantry drop troop in the Cliff Jumper. A really weird and interesting warband, and we're going to talk about all these profiles as well. Kind of a weird warband in the Steeljaw, your heavy infantry, Ironside, and Pandora. Let's just get started. So we're going to first time opening here. What is kind of most exciting for you, Ian, as far as the miniatures in this box?
For me, it's the Tech Draken, the Steeljaw. The thing, it's just different. It's really cool, really neat. I like animal beastie kind of things, so I'm excited for it because it just seems it's very new, very different from a lot of the other stuff that CB has been putting out. So I am very excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's really interesting. I wasn't super convinced by the art when I first saw it.
It also looked absolutely huge. Like on the box, it looks massive.
Right? Yeah, I think it ends up being, what, S5?
Yes, it is an S5.
Yeah, so it's about infantry height, but on a 40 mil base, something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty close. And it looks like, just at a glance, that that's some Unicool, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. So first off, we have all of our bases, so we can get all of those covered. They're all 25 mils, except for the Tech Draken. And so...
We got another base hiding out there.
Oh, thank you. So there's one of our Harbingers. 2 and 3 probably. Oh, let's see. Nope, that's the Contrabandolero. That's it. Okay. And then go ahead and set these other miniatures aside for the moment. All right. So we're going to go ahead and open these up so you can see those components. And so we're going to start with the Harbingers. They seem pretty interesting, actually, for line troops.
Yeah, they are kind of your basic line troop in their stat line. 4/4 move, light infantry, CC 15, ballistic skill 11, phys 10, whip 13, 1 armor, 3 BTS, which is actually kind of notable in a lot of line infantry. Generally don't have BTS, so that's neat. But it's their skills. So they have courage, which a lot of things will get that, even a basic line infantry, but they have dodge +3, so they are dodging on a 13 instead of a 10.
Yeah.
And they have combat instincts, so they ignore that surprise attack, and that's super cool on line infantry. It makes them less susceptible to that hidden deployment model coming out and just blasting them.
Yeah, it helps, with the surprise attack, which is, something to hopefully keep them there, because I feel like if they're getting jumped by something with heavy mimetism, they're probably going to want to dodge anyway. But not suffering a penalty is going to help, and dodging on a 13 is very respectable.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting that they're ignoring stealth, which will allow them to get more AROs, and particularly if we're looking at the hacker, where we don't know exactly what level of hacking projection is going to be available. We know Pandora's there, and she is a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I haven't seen much yet that really speaks to a heavy presence of repeater coverage. But being able to deny stealth in your repeater area is huge, and with a really low entrance point at 18 points, I think.
Yeah, the hacker is 18 points and 0.5 SWC. Honestly, the profiles are all in that kind of 13 to 20 point range, so they're maybe a little pricier than other line infantry with their skills, but they're still in the ballpark range. One of the things that's surprising for me is that pretty much every profile that's not the heavy machine gun or missile launcher has a zapper.
Yeah, having zappers is really nice. It's just one of those things where, you know, unless you're BTS immune or similar, you're going to want to avoid these on your attack run or avoid getting close so that you don't get immediately shut down, because, you know, I'll happily trade a 13 to 15 point line trooper to stop somebody rampaging through my deployment zone.
They also all have breaker pistols.
The breaker pistols are nice.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of breaker just because the AP on it is nice, but attacking BTS is much less common, especially if you're attacking into other line infantry, things like that, that generally don't have that value. It just avoids their armor.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I really like to see that there's some interesting profiles, like going back to the hacker has a Vulcan shotgun.
Yep, and EM mines.
And EM mines.
With mine layer.
Yeah, so it's just a great defensive piece. Like, they're only ballistic skill 11, which is, you know, nothing spectacular by any means, but being able to potentially fire at something in a +6 range band, having mine layer with EM mines, which again can just shut down an attack run, it's something that your opponent has to really be careful of. Mm-hmm. Then they also have the mine layer with Vulcan shotgun and shock mines.
Yep.
Another great defensive option.
Yep. And then the other two kind of standout profiles, you have your lieutenant, you have your paramedic, but then there's the forward observer with the AP submachine gun and a wild parrot, which is fantastic. Wild parrot's one of my favorites. And there's the AP marksman rifle, which has BS attack -3.
Yeah, and you know, being ballistic skill 11, I don't see these as being a primary gunner, and that's why I'm not super interested in the heavy machine gun or even really the missile launcher. But the AP marksman rifle, like, that's enough to where I could see that as a solid backup gunner. You know, either as a complement to something in a fire team, or as, you know, if you have a Harris or a core of Harbingers and, you know, your main attack run has kind of gone down, I think it's a pretty respectable piece as kind of a secondary.
Yep, I wouldn't not take it. In fact, it's probably one of the go-to profiles to take for the faction in this unit because of the cost and utility versus taking something a little heavier. That BS attack -3 helps mitigate the low ballistic skill that the unit has, as well as if you can get these into the the 5-man core team and get extra bonuses and stuff, that really helps out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting looking at some of these miniatures. The two male miniatures look like they're pretty simple. You're looking at 2 arms and their bag, and then everything else is on the body. And that seems to be true for both of them. The woman here is kind of interesting because she's got a lot more going on, I feel like. You've got a separate breastplate, separate head, and then she's got her bag and her combi rifle, and then her arms are separate from each other. Oh, it looks like she's already a hacker. So she has the kind of Shazvasti style nodules on the arm, showing that she has a combined army hacking device.
Was that her gun is part of the backpack.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's fully out into doing the hacking. That's actually super nice to get the hacking profile right off the bat in the box. That's actually makes me very happy.
Yeah, it's one of those things that can be a little hard. Like if you're looking at, so like the, especially if the miniatures aren't terribly different. Like I am thinking of Sand Trap with the Fennec Fusiliers. It's like, all right, well, one of them has a pistol out and the other two have a rifle in a semi-similar pose. Like, all right, well, my different one will be this one with the pistol, but yeah, actually having a hacking device that you can like paint up notably differently makes that a lot easier. So yeah, so those are the Harbingers. And what do you want to look at next? What sounds fun to you?
Let's go ahead and look at the Cliff Jumper, because I really like the design on this one.
That looks like this guy here. And I believe these loose pistol arm and shotgun arm belong to this guy.
Yes, they do.
All right, so they've got the large fins, kind of like you'd see on the Guilo. We've got our mandatory tactical rock for jump troops.
Yes.
Raised leg, and kind of a back torso and head. Then you've got your pistol, and that looks like a shotgun to me.
Yep, that would be the boarding shotgun.
So yeah, cliff jumpers are pretty cool. It's one of those things where I thought it was funny looking at the profile that they're Phys 10, but they're dodge +3, and they combat jump on Phys 13.
Yes.
And it's kind of funny to see some of those things to kind of manipulate the points a little bit.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's to manipulate the points. It creates in the design space an area where they do the things they want to do on 13s, but then they do the things they don't want to do on 10s.
Sure.
So like
the medikit,
adhesive, things like that they are going to be a little bit behind the curve on. So I think that's pretty cool. I like building in some of those detriments to units that not everyone's great at everything.
For sure.
And as far as their profile, I think they're really good. They are a 4/4 move, light infantry with CC 16, ballistic skill 12, Phys 10 like we mentioned, whip 13, armor 1, VTS 3, 1 vitality. But they all have ballistic skill attack +1 burst,
which is great.
Yeah, great on a jump infantry. Dodge +3, mimetism -3. Parachutist, so they can walk on, combat jump on Phys 13, and super jump jet propulsion, so they can do some of the weird angle and maneuvers.
Yeah. And they're not terribly expensive either.
No, they are 21 to 23 points, depending on profile, which is actually pretty affordable for a combat jumper. The basic profile is a light shotgun, heavy flamethrower, and paramines, which I think that's actually a really cool combo. You can do great ARO forks with that, coming in on somebody, and can send out some defensiveness with the paramines. They also have a killer hacker with a submachine gun, zapper, and D-charges. So that's going to do a lot of objectives. And then the forward observer has the boarding shotgun, flash pulse, and paramine. So they're not the flashiest of jump infantry, but they definitely are not super baseline. They have a few bonuses.
Yeah, and I really like the light shotgun flamethrower.
Yes.
It's like 2 heavy flamethrowers, nothing wants to get hit by 2 heavy flamethrowers.
No.
Like that's, I mean, you're not reliably going to take down something like a tag, for instance, but it's also not wildly outlandish to burn down a tag if they're failing saves on that.
Well, and especially when your choice is 2 heavy flamethrowers or 3 light shotguns at +6 range.
Right, exactly. Like you don't necessarily want to eat those shots either. Now, luckily, if you're an extra durable unit like a tag, I think you just kind of take your chances and use whatever your point defense weapon is to finish off the cliff jumper. But for anything that's even decent heavy infantry, that's still not a fun place to be. Like that's burst 3 light shotgun still not going to feel good.
Yeah, because you dodge to avoid the flamethrower hits, because those are the more dangerous one in that case, and more likely to contest. But taking burst 3 at +6 range means you very likely to still eat at least one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're likely going to win the face-to-face. The main thing I could see, in my mind, the most common circumstance is going to be you're losing cover as the cliff jumper because you're super jumping to deny the enemy cover. And then so they're falling back. Like, all right, well, you have mimetism, so you're back to flats, most likely. But, if they're firing 3 dice on 18s to your even a pretty good heavy infantry on a 14 back, is not awesome. Not really where you want to be.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty cool jump troop. Like having +1 burst on BS attacks is good basically all the time for everything.
Yeah, I like the design of the model.
Yeah.
I think that it's one of their cooler jump troops that's come out recently. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on to the Contrabandolero. Looking at the fluff entry for these guys, these are contraband smugglers or smuggler?
Basically, they're kind of like they go in and they grab things and like weird tech and stuff and smuggle it through. They're interesting in that because a lot of people were like making comparisons with like they're the NextWave version of like an Armandino, but they're actually super different because the Armandino is a warband and doesn't get any bonuses. This guy is a straight up skirmisher. They're actually very much in line with all the other skirmishers. So camouflage, hidden deployment, infiltration, that kind of stuff. So they're a 4/4. CC 16, their BS of 12, Fizz 11, Whip 13, 1 armor, and BTS 3. We're seeing a theme there.
Sure.
Vitality 1. But they have hidden deployment with camouflage, mimetism -3, surprise attack -3, dodge +3, so dodge on 14s. Their infiltration is on a 16, so 13 past the halfway point.
Yeah.
Immune to shock. Have stealth and terrain total, so they're very much in that good skirmisher range. They are on the pricier end, in the 26 to 29 points for a skirmisher.
Yeah,
I might just be used to the Ariadne skirmishers that are all like 20.
They feel like they're expensive for your generic standard camouflage infiltrators, but they're cheap for your like Mim 6 hidden deploy troopers. Now, they only have mimetism 3, but they gain hidden deployment where most camo skirmishers don't have it unless they're Mim 6. That's kind of the package there most commonly.
Well, and the infiltration on physical 16 is pretty huge.
Yeah, being able to relatively easily cross the halfway line is pretty notable. It's one of those things where I don't know how often I would want to do it just because they aren't cheap enough that you want to just throw them that way. But let's take a look at some of their loadouts.
Yep. So every one of them has a zapper. Hey, another theme that I'm seeing with this faction.
EM everywhere.
Yes. The basic one is a combi rifle, zapper, and paramines. They all have basic pistol and basic close combat weapons, so nothing special there. They have a regular hacker and a killer hacker. Both of these have a submachine gun, zapper, and decharges.
Yep.
There's also a non-hacker version with that loadout that's a mine layer with shock mines. And then the forward observer, which is the cheap one at 26 points. This one's interesting because it's a boarding shotgun, zapper, flash pulse, and decharges. So there's some more classifieds and things that can be done with that one.
Yeah, like the hackers in particular feel like they can get a lot done. What's their troop classification?
Specially trained.
Okay, and I think that's true of the cliff jumpers as well. So far we haven't seen any veteran or elite.
Yeah, the cliff jumpers are specially trained troops.
Yeah. What's interesting on the model itself here, we have the backpack separate, but the hair is separate,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting. So, you know, you can do your faces and sub-assemblies. And then, yeah, I think this is armed with the shotgun on the model itself. But, of course, you know, you can pretty easily run these as whatever sounds good.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy so far with the specific profiles they've modeled them as, because they're so far we've been getting ones that are the ones that I would kind of picked anyway.
Yeah, I could certainly see that.
You know, getting the hacker, getting that forward observer there, I'm pretty pleased with that. Obviously, you know, conversions or proxy for whatever, but
Right.
I do like when the profile they choose is also the one that I like.
For sure. All right, where to next?
Let's take a look at the Ironsides.
All right, Ironside, that should be him. So the Ironside is their heavy infantry. This one is modeled with the heavy machine gun, AP heavy machine gun, I believe.
That would be correct. That is terrifying.
Yeah, and I really like the look of the Ironside. It's one of my favorites.
Underslung light flamethrower.
Yeah.
This is a very gross profile. I love it.
There you go. Bend that.
So this is a elite troop, heavy infantry. It is hackable. Finally got a hackable troop.
Yeah.
It's 6'2" move, CC 17. Not really good at CC so far for the faction. But,
Right.
Ballistic skill 13, Fizz 12. A little bit low for a heavy infantry.
Yeah, it seems like Fizz just generally in the faction seems to be pretty low.
Whip 13, Armor 3, BTS 6, 2 Vitality. This is a size 2, so that's pretty cool.
Not wildly tough either. Like,
No.
that's bare bones durability in terms of like heavy infantry.
Yep. As far as skills, they all have ballistic skill attack -3, which is actually pretty huge.
That is nice.
Albedo -3, which is again really big because there's not a whole ton of albedo troops in the game, and so getting another one is super cool, especially with the N5 changes to how albedo works, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
They have combat instinct, so no surprise attacks for you.
Yeah.
Tactical awareness.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yep. They have religious troops, so they are going to kind of stay up unless you pass that test.
Yep.
And a new skill called Techno-Organic. Techno-Organic is something new to NextWave, and it's been explained that makes the model, even though it's a vitality model, it could be healed or repaired by either a doctor or an engineer. It can be done by all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do doctoring or engineering, which is really interesting, especially because from what we've seen, the main support unit is still the medtech, which is both anyway, which is kind of interesting. But considering that there are paramedics and there are some other options in the faction that are more single stream, I think that could still come up and be pretty interesting. And we'll see this on some other units as well.
Yeah. And then as far as the profiles themselves, I actually like these a lot. These are fairly affordable for heavy infantry. They run from 36 to 44 points. The baseline is a multi-rifle with a possibility of survival 6 light flamethrower and a disco baller.
Yeah,
So lots of cool stuff there. Every profile has a Cobra pistol.
Sure. It's a PS7 close combat weapon.
Yep, which is better than their PS8 close combat weapon.
Yeah.
But again, we don't see Cobra pistols on a whole lot of stuff right now.
true.
So that's kind of cool. The AP HMG profile, which has a PS6 light flamethrower. There's the heavy rocket launcher with an EM carbine.
Very Guilo-esque.
Yeah. And then there's the killer hacker, has a submachine gun with emitter.
That's kind of nice.
And then you can also take one as a lieutenant profile.
And that's the multi-rifle?
Yes, that would be the multi-rifle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these guys are pretty interesting. I mean, we haven't seen much in terms of big guns, so the APHMG kind of stands out. But also, this is another combat instinct hacker, so that's something to consider as well, which I think is interesting. And they do seem slightly pricey without factoring in tactical awareness. Once going back to tactical awareness, then they feel like that's not bad for what you're getting out of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, then go with Pandora. Now, Pandora hasn't changed much from what we've seen before, but she does have a sweet new general release model instead of a model that she got in a box where neither faction can take her from that box anymore.
It's a really cool new model with the Combined Army stylings.
It does look cool. I really like the art for this piece.
Yeah, it's like they took all the coolness from the later releases of Kodali and Bit and just ran with it, and I think it's fantastic. A lot of the Shazvasti with like the Speculo and Victor in those styles as well.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely see, like, I know when we talked with Vostria last that he mentioned like it leans more towards like Kodali and the like, but a lot of it looks very Shazvasti in its
the
design.
weapons in particular,
especially like the heavy armor. It looks very Shazvasti and things like that, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and so Pandora is a character, which current season we're keeping with the veteran status for characters. Light infantry, standard 4/4 move, CC of 17, ballistic skill 12, Fizz 12. She's just a little bit better. Probably the fact that she's a robot.
Right. L host coming in clutch.
Whip 14, so we got the highest whip in the faction so far.
Yeah.
Armor 1, BTS 3, 1 vitality. She has courage. Dodge -6.
Yep.
So that's a nice penalty against the opponent if they try to dodge, or when you dodge.
Yep.
Nice penalty on them hitting you. Fire Team Master with a unit called the Stingers.
Yeah, something we haven't seen yet, but I imagine that those will be showing up soon.
Yep. No wound incapacitation. And she has a hacking device with an upgrade to have 0 pain, which I always liked 0 pain.
It's a really good program.
Yeah.
Like, if you're getting targeted, like it's a super reset, effectively.
Yep. And then as far as her profiles, she has basic profile is a pitcher, a pulsar, a +1 burst flash pulse, a +1 burst viral pistol, and a close combat weapon for 24 points, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
That can get upgraded to her having a +1 burst medikit.
Yep.
For 26 points, and then she can further upgrade to a submachine gun, pitcher, and +1 burst flash pulse, downgrading the viral pistol to a regular pistol with no extra burst.
Sure.
And she also has a chain of command profile of the basic pitcher, pulsar, flash pulse that could be really neat depending on if you're running an aggressive lieutenant Achilles.
It could happen. I could see it in this sectoral, maybe have an aggressive lieutenant. There's a chance.
Very possibly, I don't know.
Yeah, and the chain of command profile is certainly new. So that's really interesting to see from her.
Yep.
All right, and then we're going to move on to what are kind of a twist on Myrmidons, almost. These are the Rain Dancers, and these are sort of more of like sort of like Myrmidons, in that they're a gunfightery warband style unit, though these guys are light infantry.
Yep, specially trained. Notably, they're irregular.
Yep. Yeah, they're the first irregular troop that we've seen so far.
Yep. As far as skills and profile, they are move 6-2, so a little faster. Oh, we finally got some CC in here.
Yep.
CC of 23, which is pretty decent.
Yeah.
BS of 12, Fizz 12, Whip 13, 1 armor, 3 BTS, 1 vitality. They have martial arts level 3, so they're actually a decent close combat trooper.
Yeah, pretty solid.
Dodge +3, so they're going on 15s. Dodge +2 inches, so they're getting that 4-inch dodge. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they can move quite a bit.
Yep. Mimetism -6, stealth and religious. So these guys they're kind of like a Myrmidon.
Yeah, they're definitely in the ballpark. They're not regular, and they don't get smoke, but they also do fight very similarly as well in close combat. I think they're a pip higher CC than Myrmidons, but they're both martial arts 3. And they notably don't have frenzy, which I really thought, looking at their fluff, they'd have frenzy.
They don't. They also have, of the 5 profiles, 4 of them are fire team operators, which is interesting, especially because they are irregular troops. So, and they run from 18 to 24 points. The baseline profile is a submachine gun, chain rifle, and grenades with a breaker pistol and a PS5 double action close combat weapon.
Yeah, which is
all of them
respectable.
have breaker in the double action. They also have a Red Fury and chain rifle profile, which it looks like we got the Red Fury
profile.
They have a profile that is a BS attack +1 burst that has a contender, a chain rifle, and grenades, which I think that might be the one there.
The contender? Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
Because the other option is a light shotgun with chain rifle and grenades.
Yeah, I was wondering if this might be the combined army chain rifle. I'm not positive.
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait to see the dossier.
Yeah, I'd have to check that.
And then they have the non-fire team operator profile also has ballistical attack +1 burst, and it has forward deployment +4 inches and mine layer, and that's the light shotgun, chain rifle, grenades, and EM mines.
Yeah, forward deploying EM mine layer is pretty interesting, and it's kind of strange on this type of profile, but it's really interesting. Also, I really like the contender, since you can kind of build your own T2 Spitfire, almost. That's scary. They're ballistical 12, which is perfectly fine, but having to fight through MIM 6, and again, them not having frenzy and not having limited or no cover.
They don't have limited or no cover.
Yeah, so they're getting the full benefit of that, and they're not going to lose it, which is really, really interesting. And yeah. So ring dancers are really interesting. Again, no visibility control, which you would generally associate with a warband style troop, but they bring some pretty cool stuff to the table.
Yes, they do.
So let's get on to the big boy in the action pack, which is the Tech Draken Steeljaw. And this is, we've seen that there are 2 types of these. There's going to be a more range-centric one, and there's going to be this one, which is the more melee-centric one. And immediately looking at it, we can tell that this is in Unicool. It's got that kind of signature bluish tint to it.
Very, very crisp.
Yeah, those sockets for everything look like they will line up very nicely. We'll just, there's some flash, but otherwise, otherwise those kind of slot in really well. Oh, that's not flash. That's part of the shoulder pad. Don't clip it off. It's part of the shoulder pad. Ignore me. Dry fit first. That's the lesson.
Yes. So these are just cool. They're kind of just a neat new visual concept. I'm super excited for that. As far as their profile, they are a warband, and do we really have any size 5 warbands?
The Extreme Zellenkrieger is size 5.
Okay.
And I think that's, if you count Antipodes, I guess.
They're not I don't believe they're a warband. Maybe they are. I'd have to look it up. Either way, these are irregular support troops. They are fast. They are 6'4". CC of 23, because they want to get in there and chomp you.
Yep.
BS 10, because they don't need to shoot guns. It's fine.
That's right.
Fizz 13, Whip 13, Armor 2, BTS 3, Vitality 2.
Yeah.
Size 5. Everything else in the pack's been size 2. And they also have Martial Arts level 2.
Yep.
And CC attack armor piercing.
Which is funny, like, why
They
would
bite
it just
real good.
be an AP weapon? Well, I guess we'll get to that in a minute, why that might look a little funny on the type line.
Yeah. They also have Techno-Organic. Kind of the lore is there's a new well, new to us, alien species that's part of the Combined Army, that they don't really fight for the Combined Army themselves, but they have these nasty animals that are on their planet that they capture and train and do cybernetic upgrades on, and that's where this stuff comes from. And they've kind of contracted it out to the humans as part of NextWave.
Yeah, these are kind of their attack dogs and the like.
So this thing also has dodge -3, which that's really cool.
Yep.
So it's getting there. Dodge +2 inches. Has climbing plus. Immune to critical hits. Mimetism -3. Terrain total. And religious, because it really wants to bite you. Now, the profiles are actually fairly cheap. It looks like 18 and 19 points, respectively, for the two. The first one has sensor. So there we go. This is the sensor bot.
Yep.
They might actually have a sensor bot. I didn't look at the whole army list yet.
Yeah, they do get M drones.
Cool. But this is the dinosaur sensor bot.
Right.
It has flash pulse, grenades, and viral mines, a boarding pistol, and a PS4 viral close combat weapon.
So it's AP shock DA against vitality targets.
Yes. The other profile is flash pulse, grenades, and it has a combi rifle turret.
Yeah, it can deploy a turret, which is pretty fun.
Also boarding pistol and the viral close combat weapon at PS4.
Yeah, and these seem really interesting and versatile. Like, they're solid in close combat. They're not standout, but they're good in close combat. The viral mines, I think, are really interesting, especially on a climbing plus model that can kind of potentially circumvent some AROs that they might not be able to otherwise very easily. The combination of how many ammo types can we stick on their close combat weapon is pretty funny to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if they're not a vitality target, at least they still get the AP out of it against BTS.
Yes.
So it's either breaker or AP viral. It's not a thing I thought I'd say.
Yeah. It's a cool model. It's a really cool profile. I'm excited for it. I like when, especially with alien factions, and granted, this is the human sub-faction of the main alien faction, but I do like when we get to see some different alien stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of it ends up being, and this is just a common thing in sci-fi where a lot of aliens end up being very anthropomorphic.
Yeah, the rubber mask syndrome.
Yep. So I like to see where we get something that is truly kind of different.
Yeah, and these are really interesting units. I think that they will definitely show up. One, because who doesn't love dinosaurs? And two, the profiles actually seem pretty gross.
Yes.
So next, we're going to move on to another box. This is the Glyph Warcore. And so this is the exclusive miniature that comes when you pre-order the other components of the NextWave bundle. And so there is a painted version of this guy that we've seen in some of the recent seminars. And so this is basically just a Warcore, except that it has an extra bonus.
Dodge +3.
Yeah, which is actually like a pretty relevant skill. It's not something you'll use all the time because generally, you want to be throwing those flash pulses where you can. But if you're getting shot through smoke or similar, might as well take the extra bonus to dodge.
And for only 1 point more at 4 points, it's pretty acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it's still cheap. It still does Warcore things. You still have the option for 360 or 6 cents.
Yep. Flash pulse, stun pistol, para CCW -3.
Yep. He's got his
still a journalist for the few times that comes up.
Yep, exactly.
I'd actually would really like to see more usage out of the journalist skill like we've done things here and there with like season rules and stuff like that, but I'd like to see maybe some missions that incentivize journalists.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting. It's not like people aren't taking Warcores already, but it would be nice to have a benefit to the rule other than this is used in campaign play.
have to protect the war core to achieve objectives instead of, oh, it's just a kind of a disposable ARO.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so that is the Glyph war core, and so I imagine this will be in other combined army factions as well. At least vanilla. I don't know. And Shazasti, maybe? I don't know. Maraths actually get a standard war core, so I don't know if they'll see this or not. And then we have the Juggernaut. And so this is a really interesting piece. So this one is this one is a cavalry unit, effectively.
Yeah.
And it is all in Unicool. And it's got a lot of plastic in here.
Yeah, it's got some heft to it. Based on it being plastic, it's still got some nice weight.
Yeah, just because of how much there ends up being. We have your enormous tactical rock.
That is impressive tactical rock.
Which, I think that was a fun way to make it fit a Silhouette 7
Yes.
on something that's generally going to be much shorter.
Yes.
We have legs, Juggernaut's head, we have half the rider, tail, their arms, a sword. And the Juggernaut is really an interesting unit. It is on the pricier side of tags. Like, there are definitely some tags that cost more, but
yes,
this is kind of an expensive-ish tag.
Yeah, 78 to 82 points. So it's a tag, it's mechanized. It's an 8-2 move, so a little switch up there. It says 6-4, it's 8-2, a little faster on the get.
Yeah.
CC of 22. I love CC tags because it's a giant beastie.
Yeah.
And a BS 14, Fizz 15, Whip 13, Armor 8, BTS 6, and 3 Structure at Silhouette 7. It has CC attack +1 burst, so that's already kind of terrifying.
That's fun.
It has the standard tag, ballistic skill attack, saving roll -1.
Right.
Courage. It has the ECM guided -6.
Sure.
Dodge on Fizz 12, which is
not bad.
Actually still respectable for some of the tags.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable.
It has guard.
Yep.
For no good reason, but I'm okay with this with the extra burst on the CC attacks.
It's the only CC skill it has. It's not like it also has martial arts, thankfully.
Yeah. It has Gizmo Kit, Fizz on 12, Tactical Awareness, Climbing Plus, Remote Presence, even though it's a dude riding a beast.
Yep.
Which is fine. And also is Techno-Organic, so doctors can get in on this tag and heal it.
Yep.
It has 3 profiles. The first one, which I think is the one that I enjoy the most, just because I'm that person. It's a +1 burst plasma rifle with a heavy rocket launcher.
Yeah, I like that too.
Heavy pistol and a PS4 double action close combat weapon.
At what PS?
4.
PS4. Yeah, that's pretty respectable.
Yep. So that's a potential of 4 saves right there, not counting crits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. And then there's a multi-HMG. Now, the multi-HMG, interestingly, is either NCO or your lieutenant.
Yep.
So here's that aggressive active lieutenant that you need Pandora to be chain of command for.
There you go.
It does have the Staldron remote ancillary unit for the pilot remote that gets out. Just, the standard thing to do objectives with.
Which it is Whip 13 though, and a lot of not all of them, but there are many that are Whip 12.
Yeah, it's also
so
Dodge
like,
+3.
And Dodge +3, which is, a nice skill to have. Especially
Climbing Plus.
Yeah, I don't know if other ancillaries have Climbing Plus off the top of my head. I can't.
No, so it's a very good one.
Yeah.
I again think it's a little odd that it's uses the Staldron, but again, in the game design space, it makes sense. Just thematically, like, the dude can just get off of the beastie.
Right.
But awesome model. I think the profile is fantastic.
It does look super cool. Yeah, I like it. Kind of that has this sort of feline look to it. Also, it looks like this is the multi-HMG version. It's right here on the leg.
Yes.
I have to heat that up a little bit to straighten that out, but luckily, Unicool's actually pretty easy. I had a Tikbalang whose sword was bent, and just some like hot water, not even boiling water, but hot water. Let that sit, and it's been fine ever since. So,
Yeah.
nice to see these in Unicool. I know that Bostria kind of likes to rib people a little bit about Unicool. It's like, oh, this is what you love, this is what you want so much. But it's true.
Yes.
I know the reasons they don't do everything like this, because they can't control the production that way and they have to outsource, which I totally get. But I love it in this instances that we do get it.
Like if we're going to move away from pewter models, this is the thing I would want to move to.
Yeah.
But notably, though, for being Achilles sectorial, Achilles is not in any of the initial release stuff. But he is getting a new Combined Army model and getting some updated profiles for NextWave.
Yeah. I don't think he's not seeing drastic changes.
No.
But it is going to be mostly just the cost reduction.
So cost reduction, and can be a lieutenant.
Oh, can he not in vanilla?
I don't believe he can, and the card is saying that the lieutenant profiles are only available in NextWave, although that may be a change coming to just the faction, the Combined Army as a whole.
Right. Yeah.
The regular ones are only available in generic Combined Army and vanilla, and the lieutenant profiles are only available in NextWave. Now, it said it appears right now, if you're taking Achilles in NextWave, he has to be the lieutenant.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
And I could kind of see that. Like, if he's there, he's in charge. Like, if something has brought him to the battlefield, then he is going to be the leader, which is kind of interesting.
That's why you have Pandora.
I guess there's that. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. Like, I feel like even other like super lieutenant profiles, I guess the avatars like that, but generally speaking, like Sun Ce and Saladin and units like that, Joan, they don't have to be lieutenants.
No. That said, I think you want to run him as your lieutenant just because that's what you can do, but he's very useful, because if you're running him in NextWave as a lieutenant, what he gets over the vanilla versions is the AP Spitfire is 1 SWC instead of 2.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And the plasma rifle with X-Visor actually gives you +1 SWC in the army. So he gives you the Joan bonus for that.
Thanks for joining us on this unboxing and taking a look at the components of the NextWave bundle. And let us know what your favorite units are and what you're most excited to get in hand next. Are you going to be playing NextWave, or what are you most worried about facing off against if you're not playing NextWave?
Yeah, now you just got to build all this and paint it.
Exactly. Yeah, I already have some ideas in mind. We'll see. So I don't know how fast I can do it, but there are plans. But yeah. So thanks again for joining us on our first YouTube premiere here. And on behalf of MetaChemistry, I've been Devin.
And Ian. And that's the meta.